What is your name, please?
My name is John Alligator Edwards.
My name is John Alligator Edwards.
My name is John Alligator Edwards.
Only one of these gentlemen is the real John Alligator Edwards. The other two are imposters and will try to fool this panel. Tom Poston, Peggy Cass, Orson Bean, and Kitty Carlisle on to tell. Now here's your host, Bud Collier.
Thank you, and welcome once again to Tell the Truth. Good evening, panel.
Good evening, Bud.
We're all in tune tonight, so in front of you, you will find the envelope. Open it up and follow along as I read on this first story. I, John Edwards, am a fellow of the Zoological Society of London and an expert on reptiles and amphibians. At present, I live in an 11-room house, which I share with 86 good friends, 3 boa constrictors, 30 lizards, and an assorted menagerie of newts, toads, frogs, and turtles. In the cellar, however, are my real favorites, 5 live alligators. As a matter of fact, I am considered one of the world's foremost experts on alligators and am familiarly known as Alligator Edwards. On my frequent lecture tours all over England, I often take one of the alligators with me. It rides in the back seat of my car and is kept warm and comfortable on a cushioned hot water bottle and held securely in place with a seat belt. Signed, John Alligator Edwards. These 3 gentlemen all claim to be John Alligator Edwards, as you heard. We'll start the questioning, if we may, with Peggy Cass. Peggy?
Thank you, Bud. Number 2, what's a newt?
A newt is a creature that lives out of water and in water.
Thank you. Number 3, are newts mentioned in Shakespeare?
Yes, they are.
Would you please tell me, number 1, in which play a newt is mentioned?
I don't recall that.
Thank you. Number 2, what's an earwig?
An earwig?
Yes.
Well, it's a thing that goes along like this with a lot of legs.
Thank you. Number 3, what does the word whipsnade mean to you?
Whipsnade Zoo in England.
Thank you. And number 1, are your alligators carnivores?
All alligators and crocodilians are carnivores. Yes.
Thank you. Number 3, do they have a little green salad as well, or they just stick to meat?
As a matter of fact, they don't go for vegetation at all.
They don't?
No.
They don't like
Orson
vegetation.
Yes, number 3, I've been trying to find an expert on this subject for a long time to ask about that most hated of all creatures, the gaboon viper. I blanch visibly at mentioning the name, so-called the gaboon viper, because he bites you, and I don't want to go into the details. It's a family show. Tell me about the gaboon viper, number 3.
The gaboon viper, I'm not too up on snakes. Alligator's my game. But the gaboon viper, I believe, is a black and gold little thing that runs around the Indies. I could be wrong.
All right. Number 1, now, is there any truth to the rumor that there are alligators under the streets in New York City, living in the sewer system, having been, you send away to Florida for a little baby alligator, and then the mother of the house gets mad and flushes it down, and they live down there. They grow to enormous lengths. Is that true?
Not as far as I've seen. I haven't spent too much time, actually, in the
sewers.
So.
It's Kitty Carlisle.
Number 2, in view of the fact that alligators are your pets to the point of carrying one around with you in the back seat of your car, I hesitate to ask this question, but what is considered the best kind of marking to make bags and shoes? What is the most valuable kind of alligator skin?
Well, the underbelly and the side of the alligator, and particularly of the younger ones.
And number 3, would this cause the markings to be wide apart or close together?
What do you mean wide apart or close together?
Well, I mean, would the markings be large or very small?
They'd be large.
In the babies?
Oh, in the babies, I beg your pardon. No, they'd be about this size, which you call small.
Thank you.
Right.
Number 1, how large can an alligator grow?
About 22 feet in the case of the Mississippi alligator.
Thank you.
Tom Poston.
Thank you. Bud, number 1, do you know what a hellbender is?
Yes, I have come across hellbenders, yes.
What's another name for them?
Well, we know it as the hog snake.
Thank you. Number 2, when you said, there's a myth about the salamander or the newt. Do you know what that is, number 2?
Yes, going back to my school days, I think we used to have axolotls which turned into salamanders. I think that's what it was.
Something like that. They're supposed to live in the fire or something like that. Number 3, do you know how to tell the difference between an alligator and a crocodile on sight?
Yes, of course.
Well, tell us about it.
Well, the alligator has a blunt nose against the crocodiles being sharp. But the one quick thing you can point...
That's as far as we can go, I'm sorry to say. It's time to vote. So mark your ballots without any consultation and without changing once you have marked. Just vote now, if you will, panel, for number 1, number 2, or number 3. And our team of challengers will receive, of course, $250 for every incorrect vote. Are all ballots marked?
Yes.
Very well, Tom, for whom did you vote?
Well,
Oh, you didn't yet, I see.
Well,
I heard Orson say yes, so I assumed he was speaking.
Yes, I
listen,
had voted.
Orson, I tell you, this one's really a tough one because I started over here because I started to make a 2, and hellbender is a salamander, or newt. And yet an earwig ain't a fuzzy thing that waggles about with thousands of legs, so I voted for number 1.
Peggy.
Well, I think that they mentioned the newt in Macbeth. So I voted for number 2 because, you know, I always thought an earwig was, you'll excuse the expression, a bed bug. I did, yes.
No.
It isn't something nasty.
Orson Bean.
Well, number 3 said the gaboon viper is a little gold snake, and he's a shocker 12 feet long, and he'll take your head off in a minute, unless he's just had a few kumquats or something that will calm him down.
Or a golf.
Or a golf ball. Number 1 said that a hellbender is a hog snake, which I don't think is true, and I voted for number 2 because of the creepy crawly things with a lot of legs.
Get it, Carlisle.
Well, I don't want to be known as an expert on bed bugs, but I still don't think that that's a bed bug. Anyway, I voted for number 2 because of his answer about the newts and the salamanders.
Very well, there we have it. And we'll see what happens because the votes being solidly in and the mind so firmly made up, we'll learn now which one of these gentlemen in truth is John Alligator Edwards. Will the real John Edwards please stand up? Oh, boy. Thank you, sir. Talk about milking suspense. They really learned how to do that fast. And incidentally, we would like very much to thank John Alligator Edwards for having flown in from London especially to appear on To Tell the Truth. We thank you, sir, very much. Number 1, what is your real name and what do you really do?
My name is Donald Crabb, and I work for the British Travel Association in New York.
Thank you, sir. And number 3, what is your real name and what do you do, sir?
I'm Ernest Short. I'm the restaurant manager of the Astrojet room at Kennedy Airport.
Well, in checking the score, we find there was 1 incorrect vote, but that's still worth $250, gentlemen, and we thank you very much for starting our evening off so brightly, and only hope you enjoyed it, too. Goodbye, and God bless you. Meet our next team of challengers.
What is your name, please?
My name is Sam Comfort. My name is Sam Comfort.
My name is Sam Comfort.
Follow along with your copies of this one, panel, as I read from mine. I, Sam Comfort, operate a flea market. I call it a swap meet, and it resembles nothing so much as a well-stocked open-air pawn shop. Every Sunday, 15,000 potential swappers come from far and near to barter merchandise of every size and description. While some money changes hands, most of the deals involve swapping goods for goods. The variety of things swapped boggles the imagination and includes such unlikely items as vintage lamp posts, brass spittoons, scrawny parakeets, used bricks, baby elephants, and even one exquisitely carved harpsichord bearing a sign guaranteed not to work. Signed, Sam Comfort. Three gentlemen all claim to be Sam Comfort. Let's start the cross-examination with Orson Bean. Orson?
Thank you. Mr. Comfort, number one, where do you operate this flea market?
Just outside Fort Worth.
Fort Worth, Texas?
Yes.
All right. How do you, number one, how do you make a buck? If someone brings in a spittoon and goes home with a scrawny parakeet, how have you realized? Do you get some of the feathers or what?
Oh, he brings a spittoon and a $5 bill. That's,
Yeah.
We charge on the basis of admission.
Oh, I see. And there's as many deals as he wants to make, he can make on that one $5 bill, right?
Right.
Number three, is your place outside Fort Worth, too?
No, I'm in Louisville, Kentucky, just outside of Louisville.
I see. Number two, where is yours?
Los Angeles, California, outskirts.
Number two, where does the name flea market come from?
I don't rightfully know, as I didn't pattern it after a flea market. It is actually not the same, quite as the same as a flea market.
But it's just called that, huh?
Yes, they call those flea markets.
Kitty Carlisle.
Number three, what happens if somebody brings a scrawny parakeet and they can't find anybody to swap it for?
Usually they come back the next Sunday, and I get $3 more.
Yours only costs $3.
Oh, yes.
And if you bring any kind of an item, $3 is enough.
That's right.
Number two, would it be indiscreet to ask you how much you make on an operation of this kind?
Well, we have about 550 cars of swappers at $3 apiece, and about 3,400 cars of visitors at 50 cents apiece, and it is about 1/3 expense.
Well, that sounds like a lot of money to me. Number one, what is the largest item that's been swapped in your flea market?
A baby elephant.
Number three, where is the Portobello Road?
I don't know.
Do you know where the Marché des Puces is, number two?
Marché de Paris, no, I know where the Port-au-Portace is in...
Tom Poston.
Where's your shop, number two? Outside L.A.? How much do you charge for your...
$3 for swappers and 50 cents a car for visitors.
Well, it sounds like if you have 15,000 potential shoppers a Sunday, that could be in the neighborhood of $25,000.
No, it wouldn't be that much. It'd be the 3,400 would be $1,700 for swappers and $1,100 for visitors and $1,100 for swappers.
How much would that be all?
Your figures are a little wide. I wish you were right.
Thank you. Number one, what did you do before you started this business?
I was selling advertising specialties around the country.
Number three, what was...
Peggy Cass.
Thank you. Number three, now I don't want to be involved in all this money, but if you have to pay $3 to get in and you've only got a spittoon that's only worth maybe $2, I don't understand why anybody goes there.
Well, the attraction, I imagine, just like the old horse traders.
I see. The thing is, it's simple greed. You go in there with a $2 spittoon and hope you come out with a $500 baby elephant. You trade it like David Harum, kind of, right?
It's not unlikely that would happen in mine, yes.
It's not unlikely? And your shop is I'll be down next Sunday. Number one, what gave you the idea to do this? Have you ever seen it before?
I saw one in San Francisco.
I see. Well, I don't think... Do we have one in New York, number two? Is there a flea
No,
market
it's too
here?
cold in New York.
Too cold?
Yes, because
That's it. Time for you now to mark your ballots. So please mark them immediately without any consultation betwixt and between you. And, of course, without changing once you have marked. Vote, as usual, for number one, number two, or number three. All ballots marked.
These guys, they enjoy lying so much. Well, okay.
All right, Tom, for whom did you vote this time?
Well, I'll guess number one because those people go pretty good down there, and I guess in Fort Worth they might spring $5 for one of those visits to a flea market.
Peggy.
I thought everybody's price was outrageous, except for number three. $3 is all I'd pay to go swap something. That, you know, what that... And besides, it's in Louisville, and Southern people are very big swappers. I've always heard that.
Orson Bean.
There is a flea market in New York. It operates out of a parking lot on Sundays in the warm months. I voted for number two because he's flinty of eye and looks like a fellow who could make an easy buck on somebody else's spittoon.
Kitty.
I voted for number two pretty much for the same reason. I'm mad about flea markets, so I wish you'd let me know after the show if you are the right one, where it is.
So there we have it. So the votes all in and the minds made up as you heard. Let's find out which of these three gentlemen, in truth, is Swapper Sam Comfort. Will the real Sam Comfort please stand up? Thank you, sir. Just keep the record straight. Sam Comfort and his partner, Joe Bianchi, operate their swap meet on the outskirts of Los Angeles, California. Pretty busy place it must be on a Sunday.
Very busy. We had to stop selling walk-in tickets for the simple fact that they were taking the parking of all the stores, churches, and apartment houses and everything else. And if we wanted to stay open, the people couldn't live in the town on Sundays as long as we sold walk-in tickets.
Well, it's a great idea, I must say. Number one, what is your real name and what do you really do?
My name is Charles Choquette. I'm Executive Vice President of a direct mail firm here in New York, the Reply-O Letter Company.
Thank you, sir. And number three, what is your name and what do you do?
I'm Jim Wilkins, a sales representative for WLTV Television in Bowling Green, Kentucky.
Well, in checking the score, we find that there were 2 incorrect votes this time. That's twice $250 for a total of $500. Gentlemen, thank you very much. That doesn't come near to measuring how much happiness we've had in just having you here. Good night, and God bless you. Our third team of challengers.
What is your name, sir?
My name is Thomas Fortson.
My name is Thomas Fortson.
My name is Thomas Fortson.
And again, follow along, if you will, panel. I, Thomas Fortson, am a commander in the United States Navy. For the past 18 months, I have been the commanding officer of a large, modern destroyer with a unique crew made up of officers and men from 7 different countries. In a so-called mixed manning demonstration involving member nations of NATO, the purpose of the cruise was to show how men of different navies can all work together on a single ship. While everyone gave and received orders in English, the menu was international. At the end of a typical chow line, the men might find Italian lasagna, German Wiener Schnitzel, good old American meatloaf, or even an exotic Greek specialty. A typical watch on the bridge might have a Dutchman as officer of the deck, an American sailor at the helm, and a Turkish bosun as mate of the watch. Although everyone was paid in American dollars, all the British crew members got an extra 3.5 cents a day to make up for the loss of their traditional daily allowance of rum. Signed, Thomas Fortson. Panel, these 3 gentlemen all claim to be, as you heard them claim, Thomas Fortson by name. We'll start with Kitty Carlisle. Kitty?
Thank you, Bud. Number 1, who's the head of NATO now?
I don't know.
Number 2, do you?
No, I don't.
Oh, you don't know number 3 either?
Ambassador Wesley Schmitt.
Number 2, was there a black market in the rum that the British sailors received, or did they drink it all themselves?
You mean aboard ship?
Yes.
No, there would not be a black market on
They
that.
drank it all by themselves?
There was none aboard our ship. This is aboard British ships only.
Oh, they got 3.5 cents instead.
In lieu of.
Oh,
Make up for it.
Of course, no rum. Oh, too bad. I didn't listen properly. Number 1, did everybody have to speak English in order to understand the orders?
That was a requirement.
Number 2, where did you cruise?
First of all, the Atlantic, and then the Mediterranean.
Number 1, who was the commander of your ship?
I am.
Oh, you're the commander of the ship. Oh, this whole spot has got me.
Tom Poston.
Well, I just wondered, number 3, is there booze on American ships?
No, there isn't.
Well, don't get sore about it. I don't have any over here either. Number 2, you don't wear service ribbons and things on, what's that called, that uniform you have, number 2?
This is a khaki uniform.
Undress or something?
It's a working uniform, yeah.
Do you wear that on the ship much?
Very often.
Number 1, where do you cruise when you're working?
We operate for the 2nd Fleet.
Where's that?
It's in the Atlantic.
You know the commander of the 2nd Fleet?
Yes, sir.
Well, that's good. I hope you never run into Ambassador Schmitt.
Peggy Cass.
Number 3, what's the slang word for a destroyer?
Tin can.
Thank you. Number 2, if the bosun is Turkish, does he pipe you aboard to the regular bosun's tune, or is it a little Turkish number he plays?
No, you see, it's mostly the same throughout the navies of the world, the piping tunes.
Thank you. Number 1, what's another word for that rum that the British get?
Spirits.
Oh, fancy.
Also cheap.
No. Gee, number 3, that's pretty cheap for a drink of rum, 3.5 cents. I wouldn't drink it myself, I know that. Number 2, were there any French on board the ship?
None at all, no.
No, I heard that he wasn't letting them do much outside work. And number 1, what's grog?
That's spirits.
That's spirits, too, yes. Number 3, did they have to take a language test to, did you have to give them like a vocabulary test so that they could go on board the ship?
Everyone aboard from the other countries had to speak the English language. It was a requirement.
Number 2, was this for brotherhood or?
Orson Bean.
I'm interested in Peggy's subject of booze here. Number 2, why is there no booze on a ship? I mean, I should think you'd have long weekends to while away when you weren't on.
Well, actually, we do have booze for medicinal purposes only.
Oh, I bet there's a lot of sick calls, huh? Number 1, how did the various nationalities get along together? Was there any ganging up of one nation on another?
None whatsoever.
Number 3, do you agree with that?
Yes, that was a very happy ship.
Number 2, do you feel that there is anything particular to be gained out of having a mixed nationality crew?
Yes, I think so. I think the mission was successful. It proved what they set out to prove, and that was that
The what, number 2?
You'll never know.
You'll never know. Time for you now to mark your ballots. No further time for questions. So mark now, please, panel. Mark without delay and mark with as good accuracy as you can. Mark for number 1, number 2, or number 3. All marked this time. All right, Tom, for whom did you vote?
Well, I had a funny kind of reason for choosing number 2. They were all great, I must say. And I should certainly have voted for the man who knew who the commanding of NATO. But I don't care for the ribbons on either of the 2 men in full dress because I don't think they're right. I don't think they're... Well, anyway, I voted for number 2.
Peggy Cass.
Wonderful, Tom.
Well, I voted for number 1. They don't allow liquor on American ships unless you're absolutely dying of sickness. And he referred to liquor as spirits, which meant he didn't like it either, so I figured that's number 1.
Orson Bean.
They like it off ship, though. Haven't you ever been?
Not him.
No,
he
not
does
him.
it with a glass of spirit.
I voted for number 3 on account of the fact that his eyes looked sad when he said there was no booze.
Kitty Carlisle.
I voted for number 3. I should think they would know who the head of NATO was, and I'm not sure number 3 is right. I'm not sure that's who it is. But at least he came up with a name.
Very well, there we have it, widely split. 1 for 1, 1 for 2, and 2 for number 3. Let's find out now which one of these 3 gentlemen, in truth, is Thomas Fortson. Will the real Thomas Fortson please stand up? I guess that one little word, spirits, was the key all the way down the line. Number 2, what is your real name, sir, and what do you really do?
My name is Guy Scott, and I'm a planning manager with IBM World Trade Corporation.
And number 3, you got most of the votes. What is your real name, and what do you do?
My name is Paul Miner. I handle publicity for the Crock of Gold restaurant in New York City.
Well, we checked the score, and it checks very well for you. The best so far tonight. There were 3 incorrect votes at $250 each for a total of $750, gentlemen. May that keep you happy for a while. We'll keep happy with the memory of having had you here. Good night, and God bless you. Well, that's all we have time for tonight, so good night to you, panel.
Good night.
And fun as always. Don't forget to join us at the same time next week. Of course, I'll see you tomorrow afternoon on our daytime show. But in the meantime, don't forget to tell the truth. Bye.
To Tell the Truth is a Mark Goodson, Bill Todman production.
From the works of Haydn, Debussy, Stravinsky, and Copland, Leonard Bernstein explores the sound of an orchestra. Don't miss the musical hour tomorrow night on the second of this season's New York Philharmonic Young People's Concert.